So for those of you who don't know, my name's Jen. I'm one of the producers of Everyday Theology, and all of our amazing talent, I don't even want to call it talent. What do we call the people on Everyday? What do we call you
Clearly
guys?
she doesn't want to call us talented.
Talent. You guys are talented.
No, I'm just
but
kidding.
our three brain trusts, Jacob, Brandon, and
Wow,
Renee.
that got
Yeah.
even better.
Yeah, that's cool, right? What they do is we'll plan out our filming, and they'll send over like their notes, and I get to like peek at them like a couple minutes before we film. And so I'm looking here, and I'm excited to talk about this because we're doing a part two, a part one and a part two
Part
of
one
this
and part two,
topic.
yeah.
And the title of this is The Significant Insignificance of Human Beings. And the first thing I thought about is like when I'm standing in front of like an ocean or like a large body of water, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I feel like that big.
Yeah.
But
Which is interesting because, I mean, I think we have those feelings a lot of times in our life. I remember the first time probably the most insignificant I ever felt in my life was when I rode the Maid of the Mist at Niagara Falls. And if any of you have ever had that experience, it's a little bit harrowing. Like to be in the falls and just like surrounded by the noise and the power, and you just feel so itty bitty. Like you're on this boat, and in any minute you could just be taken away by this massive amount of water. And so it's interesting when we look at something like the vastness of creation, like you mentioned it, Jen, when we look at oceans, when we even contemplate like the expanse of the universe, we're pretty insignificant in terms of just the grandness of what's around us. And yet there's like this driving impulse in us for significance. I was just reminded of that, and I'm going to apologize. We're filming this in Michigan, and I don't want to offend any of my Michigan fans, but I herald from Ohio, and Ohio State won the national championship this year. And I was reminded when I was watching it, go Buckeyes, but just like the desire people have to be part of something bigger than themselves. It's like we all get so excited for a team to win a national championship that we don't even play on. But because they herald from our state and because they seem to represent us, but it like reminds me that we just have this impulse in us that desires to be connected with something bigger than ourselves, to have a certain level of significance in our life. And so I think we wrestle oftentimes as human beings with this tension of we recognize in moments our insignificance, at least our smallness in the world, and yet we have this driving desire for something bigger, to be significant, to be connected with something bigger than ourselves. And I think that desire is actually fundamental to who we are as human beings, because I think when we look back at the origin of humanity in the creation accounts, we're created in the image of God. We're meant to be connected with the eternal. We're meant to be connected with a God who is bigger and outside of time and space. And so I think that driving desire we have, even though we are somewhat insignificant, for significance is core to who we are. But I think we've lost oftentimes some of that perspective of what is the bigger thing? What is the thing that I'm supposed to be connected to and find my significance in? And I know that's a question I've wrestled with a number of times throughout my life, and where I think I found some hope from Scripture that I want to share with you, if maybe you've wrestled with that this at some point, is to help us see what everything is about. So to unpack all that, it's going to take me 2 videos. This is the first video, but we're going to kind of get into what is everything about. The whole world, us, where do we who are insignificant find our insignificance? And I think to start the conversation, I want to look at a passage in Romans chapter 11, just briefly. The Apostle Paul writes one of the great theological letters to the church in Rome. And he unpacks so many things of what Christ has done for us. But as he gets to the end of kind of his main argument in the thrust of the letter related to the gospel, he steps back in Romans 11, verse 33 and 36, and he offers a praise back to God in light of what he's just kind of unpacked to the Romans. And in this little doxology, Paul really points us towards what everything is about, not only what he's been writing, but everything in general. And he writes this, and there's a few things I want to unpack for us to kind of start our exploring of this. He says, "Oh, the depth of the riches and wisdom and knowledge of God. How unsearchable are his judgments, how inscrutable his ways. For who has known the mind of the Lord, or who has been his counselor, or who has given a gift to him that he might be repaid?" So Paul begins by just recognizing the supremacy and majesty of God, that he's outside of everything. He's bigger and better. No one can counsel him. This is the essence of our understanding of God. There is no one who can compare to who God is. He is supreme, above and outside of all that has been made. But then Paul goes on to say, "For from him and through him and to him are all things." Now that's a startling phrase when you really stop to think about it. Everything that we know is ultimately from God. Here's Paul's referencing the creation, that from the farthest galaxy that we know to the smallest subatomic particle, all of it comes from God. But not only is everything from him, it's through him. It's sustained or held together or governed by who God is. So not only did God create everything, he also holds all of it together in his supreme power and sovereignty. And then finally, Paul says, "To him are all things." So everything that we know also has a future or a destiny that's in God. So the world as we know it, from the past and the time it started, all the way into the future, and even in this present moment, are all connected to God, which I think is a great starting point for us when we think about what we should seek to find our significance in. And it's this simple reminder that everything is about God. Everything that was made, from the furthest galaxy, as I said, to the smallest atom, from all the events of the past to everything happening in this present moment, to all that will come and where the world is moving. Every single part of it is about God. So if we're going to find our significance, I think the first starting point for us, based on what Paul gives us here, is a reminder that our significance is ultimately found first in our insignificance. You see, we're so prone to think in our world that everything is about us, that the world revolves around us, that we're the determiners of our meaning, our purpose, what good is in our lives and in the world. But where the Bible starts when it comes to our significance is by reminding us that that's actually not true, that everything isn't about us. Everything is first and foremost about God. He's what everything is connected to. He's the one who brought everything into being, and he is the one to whom everything is moving. So if we're to find our significance, if we're to find that deeper reality that we're meant to be connected to, that our hearts long for, to find our purpose and meaning and value, the starting point is first to recognize that that is found not in us, but in God. Therefore, our significance is only found as we are connected to God and what God is about. But what is God about? Well, to answer that question, join us next week as we explore part 2 of our series.
Thank you for watching Everyday Theology. Did you know Everyday Theology is a part of Woodside Bible Church? Woodside is a church with 14 locations across Southeast Michigan, and we would love to see you at one of those locations or even online. Head to woodsidebible.org to find a service time near you.